Been out here running a little bit today, but I wanted to show you guys authentically kind of exactly what it looks like. I usually start walking through here. I usually walk one lap. The next time through, I punch the pole. As soon as I punch the pole, it's time to go. And then the goal, when I come back, I gotta tap it again, because I like to set a goal, set an objective, say, hey, look, I'm gonna go here, boom. I'm gonna run, and I'm gonna come back to the same spot that I started at. And so this gives me a little mental check mark. I'm like, hey, I ran from there to there. So that's how I do it. So here we go. In my opinion, in order to run kind of light, you actually have to kind of attack the ground a bit. So you can run low and slow too. This is jogging, okay? But I think when you run, you're better off attacking the ground before it attacks you. And so I like to see a little bit more of a spring, a little bit more of a jump. Boom, boom, boom. Head over foot, driving the arms. You hear a lot of runners talk about pulling. So you want to pull, try to get those feet to travel back behind you. It's actually a little bit difficult for me to do, but to get it right, it should look kind of like this. So it's getting better, but I still have a ways to go. Part of that's just mobility, flexibility, motility, integrity of the muscle, the joints, ligaments, tendon, fascia for my leg to get on one side into like a seiza position with one leg at a time. You follow anything from pose running, they talk a lot about getting into some of these positions where the foot is up. I've been out here running for a bit, so my balance and coordination is a little off. My body's getting stiff, but you're kind of here and slightly just lean forward a little bit. And you'll notice that to be a common theme amongst many runners. I'm just gonna keep going, keep explaining shit to you guys as we go. Welcome to day 71, everybody. 71 days in a row, running through it, day in, day out. And these aren't just little trots either. These are 5-6 miles every day. Today I started running at 8:37 a.m. It's 10:14 right now. This jaunt around the block here will take about a half hour. Whatever amount of time that is, 2 hours of running. Simple thing you guys can work on when you're running is to work on flicking the heel outward. You're trying to end up with what's called a bow and a corner. So a bow in this front part where the knee is out, foot is straight, and then as you transfer, you're getting into a little bit of a corner here. Bow, corner, bow, corner, bow, corner, bow, corner. I still have a hard time with this. This is a work in progress. Will it be perfect for the way that you move currently? Maybe not, but it's something to practice. So here, 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 here. Something that helps me with flicking the heel out is to think of myself squeezing a ball with my legs as I'm running. So I have a tendency to want to kind of hulk it and be out here. So knees don't really go up too high, but they get pulled up and forward. I pretend I'm squeezing an exercise ball between the legs. Another thing that will help that heel flick is to go head over foot. So your head goes over your foot each time. Get the rib cage a little forward of the hips, in my opinion, a little here. The head over foot will be one of the greatest single mitigators of stress that you're going to find. The second mitigator will be your shoes. I'll talk about that more in a moment. But getting that head over foot is a way for me to catch myself, absorb. It's the difference between a football being thrown at you and just bouncing right off your face or your hands versus you gently absorbing the ball, catching it, kind of tucking it away. We don't want too much of this. Sometimes I have a tendency to get like air under me, and we're really more trying to propel forward. If you're to try to balance on one leg, okay, I'm going to lift up my left leg and I'm going to balance on my right. I kind of have to go like this. You see that? I have to go beyond the midline of my body. I have to transfer my weight over here in order to go like that. Okay, same thing goes with this side. Same law applies. Going up and down stairs. Right? So you're going across the mid. Can you pick your leg up and kind of go the other way? Sure. But it gets to be a little funky. So that's what we're trying to do with the head over foot each time, is to create better balance, better stability. The heel flick, why it's important, why I want you guys to give it a try, is in my opinion, it can help propel you forward really, really well. And it's the way that our hips, it's hard to say that this is the way things are supposed to work for everybody, but in my opinion, for most people, this is the way that it should work for most, is to at the very least have the feet straight and to have the heel come up straight and not have the heel go this way. We see a lot of this, and to me that's an energy leak. That's something that may be a little less efficient. Again, there's outliers, always going to be outliers. You guys are probably thinking of 6-7 sprinters where you're like, no man. And also remember, I'm not talking about sprinting necessarily as much as I'm just talking about running. Trying to run, I don't know, between 6 to 12 miles an hour, something like that, for like long periods of time. That's more of what I'm talking about. It's important that we absorb each shot the best we can, and it's important that we don't land with our toes pointed way out, and it's more important that we don't go inside ankle bone low. As you see, some people will trot along and they got that one foot that's kind of whirling and swirling around kind of awkwardly as they're running. It's like, you know, sort of do what you need to do. This is a way, in my opinion, that I think you guys can optimize some of your running. So again, you're going to try to go with the heel flick outward away from your body each time. And you can practice it on a walk. You can just go real slow like this, and then maybe it starts to transfer into your stride over time. So you're just starting with running. You're going to go low and you're going to go slow, and you're going to run for as little a time as needed for you. I don't care if you treat yourself like the biggest baby ever and you're like, I'm going to run. Sorry, I'm going to use the word jog. I'm going to jog. Okay? For 10 seconds. 7, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to walk for 2 minutes. Whatever prescription you got to give yourself. But imagine how accomplished you're going to start to feel after you do this for a couple of days, after you do it for a couple of weeks. Now with it getting a little colder out, it's going to feel kind of good to move your body this way, to get your body a little warmer. When you're at your office and you go out for a little walk, turn it into a little mini jog and just get a little bit going. The reason why I'm excited about this for you guys is that this is totally different than strength training. Man, it takes a long time to build up a monster in the gym. But I'm telling you, when it comes to endurance training, and this is no knock on endurance athletes, this stuff comes quick in the beginning. Really, really quick. So I want you just to try to commit to something for maybe about 60 days, 90 days. And if you can get in little bouts of jogging about 3 times a week, you'll be shocked at the progress you can make. So, one of the second greatest ways to mitigate impact forces while running, number one is that head over foot and just form and technique running in general. Number two is the shoes. You can even argue that shoes are number one. Or some people will say get rid of your shoes completely, and that'll mitigate ground force as well. And I would be in agreement with that, because you're going to land softer on a bare foot, right? But these Nike Alpha Flies, I tell you right now, Nike Alpha Fly Zoom 2% or whatever, keep kind of upgrading them and changing the name a little bit. These are superior than any other shoe that you're going to find. I guess I can tell you it's not a paid sponsorship, but you won't know, care, or you'll probably think I'm lying. These fucking rock, and these will change your life if you're a big boy trying to run. One of the problems though, they don't make shoes for a big boy, so you might be squishing your feet a bit. I believe Hoka makes a similar shoe with a carbon foot plate that will spring you forward as well. But I haven't ever tried those, so I don't know what those feel like in comparison. Ultra, another company that I really like, they make wider shoes, and they make a shoe that's got a carbon plate in it as well, but they're just not going to make shoes that are for really, really big people. So, but they are wide, and they are zero drop, so you might want to look into those. But these things are kick-ass. Ryan Hall is the guy who told me about these. He's a U.S. record holder in the half marathon and full marathon, and he's one of the first people I asked, and he was like, go with the Nike Alpha Flies right away. I'll show you the shoe a little bit later, a little closer up, so you can see it more in detail. But this is knee sleeves for running. Like, it's the equivalent of knee sleeves for squats, or a knee wrap for squats. It makes that big of a difference. They're called 2% because they can make a 2% difference in your time. For the slower person, it's not going to do as much because it has some spring to it. So it does a little bit more with the person that's a little more aggressive with their steps. Also, if you heel strike and things like that, it's of no major consequence. A little bit of heel striking in a shoe like this is of no consequence in my opinion. And heel striking in general is not nearly as problematic as people want to make it out to be. I think where you can run into issues is if you heel strike and your ankles kind of explode and collapse and go all over the place when you're running, that's not a good look. You probably want to go more midfoot, forefoot. For me, I kind of land on the outer edge of the foot, and I'm trying to use the last 2-3 toes to kind of push, spring off. Obviously the big toes involved too, but the big toes like kind of the last little shover and pusher for me to get into that other column, get into that other side. But I'll show you, heel striking actually can give you a lot of reprieve on a run. And what I want to advocate and suggest to you guys is that you learn how to run a bunch of different ways. So here would be some heel striking. It's kind of more like the whole foot is landing. But when you're not heel striking, your stride's shorter. You know, I'm going to be, if you want to try to go faster, I'm going to be more in here on the toes, okay? But if I heel strike it, I can take a lot less steps. So you have to find what works and feels good for your body type, and also in accordance to the shoes you're wearing. As it pertains to the upper body, when you run, I was more recently trying to bring my arm back. I didn't really realize that I didn't need to bring it back so much. I didn't need to try to bring it back. See the Kenyan runners and the greats, it looks like their elbow is like, you know, way back here where I can't put it, which is true. They do have that mobility, but they move their arms back and up, like a little more dippish, so a little bit more here. And this is easier for me to maintain and do at the moment. And I can stay right in here. And plus, when you have lats, you got lats for days, like me, then it makes it a little harder just to push straight through. And so you got to kind of get a little angle in there. A note about breathing: try to get into your breathing mentally whenever you can think about it. You'll tend to go back and forth between thinking about your breathing and not thinking about your breathing. And when you're not thinking about your breathing, and you're not concentrated on it, you'll probably get going doing all mouth. You probably want to do a combination of nose and mouth and be a little bit more thoughtful about when you breathe. So for example, we might want to go almost get like a cadence. Slow, controlled, control it. It'll feel like you can't control it, especially when you start going faster. It'll feel like you can't control it, but you can, and it won't bother you. So I'm going a little faster now. I'm going to practice it. You can breathe a lot less than you think. Sounds kind of scary, but Chris Henshaw from Aerobic Capacity on Instagram, he taught me that in swimming, there's a particular breathing pattern because you have to move your head out of the water to get a gulp of air. He said in running, you just breathe haphazardly whenever you want. And we actually don't want that. We want to have like a 1, 2, 3, 4, breathing in, breathing out with certain steps. It's tough, not easy to get in that rhythm, but it's something that you can learn over time. And again, if that's complicated for you, just try to slow your breathing down. Again, it's going to go and my understanding is it's the breath out that helps a lot with the recovery as well. So you want to make sure you get a nice, like it's not, maybe if you're sprinting, okay, but you're running at a moderate pace, you want to make sure that you got maybe about 3 seconds in, 4 seconds in. I believe this is why we get the runner's high, and how we get a runner's high is from the exchange of oxygen and CO2. And speaking of that, let me see. I got one of my tricks with me. Oh, I got the hostage tape. What's up with that, son? So, hostage tape warning. Get rid of your snot before you throw this thing on. It's gonna make you messy. I got a little run club over here. Good morning. Oh, good morning. So, gotta do Farmer Blast. This is what I think of Davis, California. Try to get that cleaned up. I'm always listening to like motivational stuff or music. Something that I listened to the other day that I really liked was from Muhammad Ali, talking about his fight against George Foreman. And George Foreman destroyed everybody at the time. Destroyed everybody at the time. And he was big, he was strong, he was powerful. And he just kept walking forward, and he blocked like this because he had huge forearms. And he'd push people a lot. He'd push you and just drill you. And he also would punch people's arms a lot, and people would get really tired. He fights Muhammad Ali in one of the most famous fights ever, where Muhammad Ali does the famous rope-a-dope. He said, I'm going to let this big, strong SOB, I'm going to let him wear himself out. And so Ali kept taking those shots to the arms and taking the shots even to the body. He's just absorbing them. He's just eating them for fucking breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The whole fight. I want to say it's like the 7th or 8th round. Foreman drills Ali with a shot. Body shot. Normally, these body shots would put out anybody. Keep in mind at the time, Ali and Foreman fought similar opponents. Ali fought Frazier and had wars with him. But George Foreman disposed of him in 3 rounds and knocked him down 3 times in 1 round and kicked his ass. He did the same thing to Ken Norton and some other rivals that were really tests, really powerful tests for Muhammad Ali. The Foreman, he chewed him up and spit him out. So they fight, they rumble in the jungle, and Ali's doing the rope-a-dope, just taking all the shots, tiring out big George Foreman. Foreman cracks him with a hard shot to the body, and Ali says, "Is that all you got, George?" And it just demoralized Foreman. Foreman was in total disbelief, and he said it took the wind out of his sails and made him want to cry in the ring. Pretty unbelievable. And then I think it's a round or two later that Ali just disposes of him. But not only does he dispose of George Foreman doesn't lace up gloves for another 20 some odd years before he eventually avenges that crazy huge defeat and comes back and wins the title against Michael Moore, goes on to fight Evander Holyfield when he's in his 40s, makes the Foreman Griller, and the rest is history. Probably one of the wealthiest boxers of all time. So I don't know, just a cool inspirational story. These are the kind of things that I got going on inside this brain when I'm running, listening to these different messages. Hostage tape. This is a form of mouth tape. Mouth taping, keeping your mouth shut while you're running and working on nasal breathing, is supposed to have some mimicking benefits of altitude training in a way. And it's, let's just say, restricted oxygen training, and even some restricted CO2, because it's just as hard to breathe in as it is to breathe out when you're only using your nose. The other thing I think this does, for those of you with smaller nostrils, I think this can build up the face and build up the nose so you can have a stronger nose in times of need. But this has been a long time thing talked about in boxing. He used to say, "Oh my God, this guy's done breathing out of his mouth. He's fucking toast." He used to say it all the time. And so now we know that if people can get through stuff in a calmer fashion by mainly nasal breathing, it can make a huge difference. Normally I'm tracking my heart rate, but I didn't do that today. And nasal breathing puts a governor on your running, depending on the shape that you're in, puts a governor on your running, which clicks you right into zone 2 cardio, which is the famous Maffetone method. The Maffetone method is a proven method to build aerobic capacity really efficiently and really sufficiently. So it just so happens by using some nasals or using some mouth tape that you can get some huge benefits. So here's how it works. I just pull this apart like this. Whoop. I got to stop because the tape is super sticky, or at least slow down a lot. Keep in mind I wear this for sleep as well. It creates a way more efficient sleep. Your partner will thank you, maybe thank me, hey now, because you won't snore. Not a cure for snoring, it's not a cure for sleep apnea, but it can help. So it's sticky, as you can see. And we go, oh shit. So we just go like this, try to make sure the mouth is dryish. But even with some facial hair, and even if your mouth's not dry, this shit's so sticky it will stay on pretty good. Oh, that hostage tape is great. I've been using it probably about 10 minutes a pop on most runs. I've worn it for an hour before, half hour. I gotta be honest with you, it's fucking annoying. You're like, oh my God, make it all end. Real killer. But I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't worth it. It feels very worth it to me. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of my run for today. And this is where it's good to get a little nostalgia. There's probably about 8 minutes left in the run. So I don't know, find a song that you really like. You know, you can also just get lost in your own thoughts. You don't always need to have headphones on and distractions and everything else. I don't track anything. I have all those devices. I have a Garmin watch, and I did mention I will look at my heart rate. So I bought a cheap heart rate strap and a watch. A watch with a big old giant face on it, so I can see it, because my eyes are failing me these days. But I like to just kind of go by how I feel for the day, and I test it out every day the same way. I get up and I show up to run, and I just go and do it. And I'd like to challenge everybody out there to the usage of the word hard. I think we utilize it maybe a little too often. The things that you like to do and the things that you enjoy, they can get challenging. And I'm not going to say that they can't be hard, but they're things that you want to do, so you're going to do them anyway. And if they were too hard, you wouldn't do them. No matter how hard you make the task, no matter how difficult you make the task, if you're able to do it, it's what can be done by you. And so therefore, in my opinion, by definition, it may have had a difficulty level to you. It may have had a challenge, but I think my main assertion here is we want exposure. We want exposure to things that are difficult, and over time, those things will get easier and easier because we'll get better and better. The things that we're doing won't change. The things that we're doing, you may intentionally make them more difficult. Mouth tape, you might start to run a little faster, these kinds of things. But let's not try to make it out like we're some badass person because we fitness every day. I'm on day 71 of run every day, but this is what I want to do. So it doesn't make me a badass to do it. And it doesn't make somebody else a lazy piece of shit because they don't do it. They're just not interested in it yet. And what I'm hoping is that people that follow me and people that are fans, I hope we all take it upon ourselves. How can we make other people feel a little bit of what we feel when we run or lift? Can we connect that person back to the thing that they love? Skateboarding, volleyball, skiing, some sort of outdoor activity, hiking, walking, running, lifting. And can we encourage those people around us, our aunts, our uncles, our dads, our brother, sister, fellow neighbor, fellow person at church, even fellow gym goer? How can we make that person feel a little similar to the greatness that we know that we can feel and experience through some of the things that we explore through diet, nutrition, and through some fitness that we considered at one point to be hard, but now know that if you stay connected to it for long enough and you enjoy it enough, it won't be difficult because you'll just want to do it. So there's a lot of people that are really intelligent, but they have a hard time finding joy, enjoyment, happiness, fulfillment. And in my opinion, those are some areas where you can strengthen your creativity and try to think about how can you get yourself into a frame of mind where you're experiencing joy, experiencing happiness. And I'd also say that you're not supposed to feel that way all the time anyway. So there's going to be ups and downs of life, correct? That's always going to happen. However, what are some easy go-to things that you can do to quote unquote make yourself happy? For me, you're looking at it. I like to run. I like to spend time with my family. I like to shop for foods that I really like a lot. Fruit, meat. I love to eat those things because they quote unquote make me feel good. Remember, Nothing can make you feel any particular way. Maybe unless it's like physical. It's our interpretation that makes it so. But my interpretation is, I love hanging out with my dog Daisy. I love hanging out with my daughter Quinn. So I use my intelligence, my intellect, to set my day up to where I'm like, I'm gonna make sure I have time for Quinn today. Quinn and I went to a volleyball game last night. Went to go see Jesse Burdick's kids. My best friend, Jesse Burdick, got to see his children play some volleyball. It was like an hour drive away. It was a wonderful time with my daughter. And something that I think both of us will probably remember forever, even though it was just a little trip that we shared together. So if you're so smart, why ain't you happy? Because there's probably simple things like that you can think about in your life that you can make time for, that you can make up your mind to do. Another hack for me is just to take a shower. Taking a shower, quote unquote, makes me feel good. Eating healthy makes me feel good. Running makes me feel good. Now here's where shit gets tricky. A lot of our stress mitigators are drugs. A lot of our stress mitigators are alcohol and things like that. And those are great tools too. I love them myself. I've been drinking every day since I can remember. Holy shit. No, just kidding. I like to have some drinks here and there with my wife. And it does put you in a different spot. It does make you feel good. I know some people like marijuana. I like kratom, right? We all love coffee. Pretty much most people love coffee, right? But like, what are things that we can do for ourselves rather than things that can just be done to us? How do I get myself in a good state? Well, maybe I'm gonna go on a run. Or maybe I'm gonna go on a walk. And maybe some parts of the walk might start to suck. Maybe halfway through I might say, shit, I'm walking a little bit further than I wanted to today. But that's okay, because you know at the end, you're gonna feel better. When you look in the mirror the next day, you look at yourself, not only are you gonna look better, but you're gonna feel accomplished. The body keeps score. The body, the mind, the spirit knows what you've been up to. It knows what you've been up to. It keeps track. It's a constant tracker. And one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of tracking stuff is because it gets tracked by this system right here, the most sophisticated system the world has ever seen. It's the human body, mind, and spirit. So I think, what are the things that we can do that we know kind of more in the long term are going to make us feel good? We know short term, we know instant gratification, we know how to get that. But what's the short term? You know, after every run, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel more accomplished. Your body, mind, and spirit is going to know that you did it. So what are the things that you can do, that you can adopt into your body, mind, and spirit to be helpful, to allow you to feel really awesome every single day? That isn't just a drug. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later.